Don, I want to start this week's show with some news because there is a lot going on, and we're going to begin with a birth in the world of motorcycling and end with an unfortunate death. But let's start on an upbeat note.
Yes.
The birth.
Yes.
Damon Motorcycles. We featured them on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Everyone knows what that is. Tell them what it is.
It's an electric motorcycle brand. They made a big splash at the last couple of CES shows. They probably say CES or something. Yeah. That's the big electronic show that's held in Vegas every year.
They won all sorts of awards and everything like that. I mean, now it's a spectacular looking motorcycle.
Well, the big news is, after that rumptiousness, they've actually started manufacturing. They opened for orders. They took the orders, were full up in 4 days, and now they're building 25 motorcycles.
Sounds so good. Yes, we've sold out some motorcycles.
25.
All 25 that we haven't built yet.
For $40,000. And I'm reading between the press kind of statements on it, it seems that you might have to wait at least a year or so for your $40,000 motorcycle. Yet in the same breath, Don, they're saying, we're going to ramp up the staff, double from 50 to 100, and we're going to build a new factory, build 1,500 bikes a year.
Yes.
Eh? But it's going to take you a year to build 25. I don't understand what's going on there.
This sounds vaguely like a story that we're going to see didn't end so well later on in the segment. Yes. But I mean, okay, Damon, they're impressive looking. I mean, it adjusts as you want to go. I mean, if you want superbike, if you want sit up,
all around electronic warning.
I wish they'd do that. But then we get to, it is an electric bike, and we get to the figures, and you're a little bit dubious.
You had a look, Don has had a look at the specs, and eagle-eyed has noticed something.
Okay, so, all right. They claim 200 miles an hour, 320 kilometers per hour.
200 mile range.
Yeah, 200 mile range, 320 kilometer range. So this, and 200 horsepower. Yeah. Now, this is all vaguely sort of equal to current 1,000cc superbikes. Yeah. But what always lets electric bikes down is that in order to put out their performance, it needs to weigh a ton. However, they're claiming 200 kilograms weight. And that sounds a little impossible.
Especially when you consider what the electric bikes that already exist are in terms of specs. So we've got Energica. Yes. I always struggle to say that. But that's the Italian brand.
Yeah, they're in Moto E. They do the Moto E Championship, all of that. So proper.
And the things are already working and racing.
Yeah.
How much do they weigh?
Well, okay, first of all, they're 145 horsepower, less top speed, less range, and they're 280 kilograms. Even the Moto E bikes, the full-on race bikes, are 260 kilograms.
That's 60 kilograms lighter. I think they've forgotten to put the battery in when they weighed it.
Yeah, this does sound very dubious.
The Harley Davidson Livewire is also that's the only major manufacturer that's into electric bikes at the minute, and their bike weighs 250 kilos. Now, Harley's always weigh more, but still.
Yeah.
The writing is on the wall. We're not going to call them liars, are you, Don?
No, okay, what I'm going to say is that I hope they're being truthful here and it all happens and the entire world changes. It'll be glorious. I just don't think it will.
Yeah, a little bit. We're just going to have to follow the story, aren't we? Moving on then, let's just have a quick word about the state of electric bikes in South Africa, because I know Energica...
When we have electricity.
Yes, when we have electricity. Energica are just about here, aren't they? They've got a couple of bikes.
There's an importer of Energica, this very, very famous Italian brand. The problem is the local, you need all sorts of permits to import any vehicle into South Africa. And there's little problems, like, for example, when the permit says, what capacity in cubic centimeters are these motorcycles? And you go, oh. And then you go to the person behind the desk and they go, oh. And everyone goes, oh, and there's a bit of a problem.
So what we're saying is bureaucratically they're held up, but we're hoping within the next month or so. And talking about stuff that's very nearly arrived in about 2 months, Zero Motorcycles, which the official importer is here at Fired Up Motorcycles. They will be here and for sale in 2 months.
We look forward to that.
Yes, absolutely. So the electric is moving on in South Africa.
Zero Motorcycles actually won an award last year. They were the MC at Motorcycle News, very famous brand, rated them the best electric motorcycle of the year.
Yeah, I think for a couple of years they've been regarded as the best you can buy, although Harley might argue with you now. Now, you may remember in last week's or the week before episodes, Don and I were riding a couple of Aprilias. We ended up in Mpumalanga having a whale of a time, but to get there, we actually had to navigate Joburg's traffic around the N1 in the morning, just tailback after tailback, and we accidentally, I think it was accidentally.
I mean, we accidentally pushed the handlebars and sort of accidentally went through the traffic to the
suicide lane.
Or they call it the suicide lane, yes.
And obviously neither of us very good at suiciding, because
we've done our best, but
we failed miserably. We're still here. It's called the suicide lane. We knew we'd get some comments. I have to say, flack. At the moment, most of you guys are obviously people of the real world. Most are agreeing with us using the suicide lane. Some people are outraged that we're technically breaking the law. But in terms of safety, let's fess up, we do it. It is safer. Just keep the speed down.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. On that freeway where there's a big right-hand shoulder, tons of space, no one is going through traffic anymore. You don't see bikes going through the middle of the lanes. They all are there now. And there's two good things about that. I mean, okay, first of all, the suicide lane, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's safer.
I think it's safer.
Because you've only got one sort of line of traffic instead of two.
One variable,
yes. And the fact is that so many bikes are going down that right-hand lane. Cars are getting used to it. I mean, the previous criticisms were that cars aren't going to know and they're just going to pull out in front of you.
Look, I think that's still a criticism, which is why you should keep the speed down. If some guy's car's overheating and he quickly pulls into what is the emergency lane, you don't want to be doing 120 k's an hour as he pulls in, because he might not be expecting you. Now, this ties in quite nicely. In the UK, a study's just been released where they have determined, after millions and millions of pounds of expenditure, that what are so-called smart motorways are, well, they're not that smart.
They're not really working out. For people who don't know, a smart motorway, is what they do is during times of a lot of traffic, is the emergency lanes open up as general lanes.
Yes.
So when there's lots of traffic, hey everyone, 2 extra lanes, 33% more traffic flow.
And you're told this, by the way, via kind of overhead gantries, electric messages which open the lane. But unfortunately, if you do break down or there is an accident, the emergency vehicles can't get past.
Yes.
Or if you break down, you end up stuck in an open lane. And it turns out studies have shown that there are many more accidents and near misses.
And you're also presuming that the general population is clever enough to know what you mean by your signboards. And
we mention this because in places, the N1 is actually a bit like a smart motorway with overhead messages, and there is no emergency lane because it's all squeezed into 4 or 5 lanes.
And South African vehicles are not quite as, shall we say, up to date as the UK's.
Well maintained.
Well maintained.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So we do have a lot more breakdowns, it's true.
Yeah. So problems.
Yeah, problems. So we have to give it a different name.
Which one?
The Freedom Lane.
The Freedom Lane.
Let's call it the Freedom Lane from now on. Maybe people's minds will change. The Joy Lane.
The Joy Lane.
Okay, smart motorways, the takeaway is they're not really that smart. In fact, they're quite dangerous. Let's end. I said we'd start on a birth, which we did with Damon Motorcycles. We're ending on a death, much more famous name. I can't believe it. It's finally happened. I have to say the writing's been on the wall for a good few years now, but Norton is gone.
Now, not gone, not just gone, but I mean disappeared in a wave of controversy.
Yeah.
I mean, a scandal after scandal is now appearing. It was owned by a guy named Stuart Gardner, an entrepreneur, invested a whole lot of money, bought the Norton name, opened a factory.
Has been doing it for years, put them in the Isle of Man.
Yeah, so tons of money by one guy, Stuart Gardner. Now that they're actually, end of January, they sort of disappeared. It's found that there's a whole lot of big problems.
Okay, before you get into that, Don, you told me something earlier that was quite amusing. Can you fish out that quote? We've got a quote.
So yeah, what happened was they closed down end of January. Before that, there were a whole lot of problems. For example, there were people saying, I'm waiting for my motorcycle. Other people were saying, look, the head on my Norton is cracked.
Can I get it repaired?
And can't find anyone. Yeah. Then the most famous one, Stuart McGuinness, multiple Isle of Man winner.
John McGuinness, isn't it?
John McGuinness. Yeah, what did I say?
Stuart.
Okay. John McGuinness, the famous Isle of Man racer, puts up a Twitter. He says, he says, struggling to get hold of Stuart Gardner from Norton. If anybody has seen him, tell him to give me a shout.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a public
and
shaming.
At that moment, everybody said, hang on.
And John McGuinness is obviously riding the Norton at the Isle of Man
CT
and getting paid to do it. So.
And then suddenly everyone went, what? And literally a week later it announced Norton.
So they've gone into liquidation. These things happen. However, further investigation reveals that Mr. Garner allegedly has raided basically the pension funds of people who've invested.
Yes. Well, it was more, I mean, there were 228 people got told to invest their pensions into Norton as a pension fund, a total of £14 million, which is what, 270 million rand or so.
Trillion, I think.
Trillions and quadrillions and billions and all of that. Not only that, £5 million of government tax money was invested in Norton. I mean, there were big things. I mean, Stuart Gardner was hailed. Theresa May took him to conventions to say, look at this fine example of a British entrepreneur. And now it's all gone. And there are other problems. I mean,
well, he's supposed to have pitched up in court
Yeah.
for this liquidation, and he hasn't. He
yeah, I
just
mean,
didn't appear.
there's pensioner kind of complaints and things. He just didn't pitch. And there were other little things like, for example, Mr. Garner borrowed lots of money from the company that they can't find now. And there were also, as company vehicles, 6 Aston Martins, 3 Range Rovers, and an F-Type Jag, which means there was.
Oh, the brilliant way to run a lean, mean
Yes.
company machine. I have to say, just as an aside, Norton Motorcycles were brought into South Africa, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago.
By a
with
previous regime.
the
shall we
previous,
say.
they were brought in by Cayenne. Why wouldn't you? I mean, great. And the bikes on the surface look really good. And then they arrived, and we rode one and it blew up, and we rode the other one and bits fell off. And they were really overpriced, and some of the detail finishes were just terrible, really, really rubbish. So the writing's been on the wall for some time, and now we have to say they're gone. Sorry to leave you on such a down note, but it happens. Rather concentrate on the birth of Damon Motorcycles, who
Yeah.
might be lying.
You know what I would love to see now is someone like Triumph take over Norton, and then they got like their TFC models, which are like their special custom ones, brand those as Norton. Think about that. That would be fun.
There's a reason we call him Don the Tangent. Let's go for an ad break. Back shortly.